Now the question number 1. When a weight of 10 kg is suspended from a copper wire of length 3 meters and diameter 0.4 millimeter, its length increases by 2.4 centimeters. If the diameter of the wire is doubled, then the extension in the length will be how much? So in this question, what is given? When a weight of 10 kg is suspended from a copper wire of length 3 meters, diameter 0.4 millimeters, and its length increases by 2.4 centimeters. If the diameter of the wire is doubled, right here, when the weight, mass that is given, weight 10 kg given. So that means M is equal to 10 kilograms and length of the wire that is given 3 meters and diameter is given, that is 0.4 millimeters. That means we want to calculate radius, means d by 2 is equal to 0.2 millimeters. That is nothing but 0.2 into millimeters, no, that is 10 to the power of minus 3 meters, or otherwise 2 into 10 to the power of 4 meters. But here length increased to how much here? 2.4 centimeters. That is 2.4 centimeters. So length increased to 2.4 centimeters. Then what happens in this case here? So here, to calculate when the diameter is doubled, the extension in length will be. So first of all, it is related with the Young's modulus. So that means Young's modulus y is equal to m into g into L divided by pi r square into delta into L. So that means m means how much here? 10 into 10 into length is 3 divided by pi means 3.14 into radius is nothing but this one, 2 into 10 to the power of minus 4 whole square into delta L, that is delta L is nothing but 2.4 centimeters. So centimeters convert into meters means 2.4 into 10 to the power of minus 2. Now here simplification. So how it must be? 3 into 10 into 10 is nothing but 3 into 10 square divided by pi value 3.14 into 2 whole square is nothing but 4 into 10 to the power of minus 8 into 2.4 into 10 to the power of minus 2. So here on simplification of that, 3 into 10 to the power of 2. So here minus 8 minus 2 minus 10, here plus 10 divided by 3.14 into 4 into 2.4. So multiplication 30.144 is equal to 0.0995 into 10 to the power of 12. So here 0.995 into 10 to the power of 11, it is nearly 1. So that's why nearly I will write 10 to the power of 11 Newton by meter square. So this is the Young's modulus value. But which one we want to calculate here? If the diameter is doubled, then the extension in its length will be how much? So then what happens here? So other diameter that I will take, d dash is equal to 2d is nothing but 2d is nothing but how much here? 2 into 0.4, that is 0.8 millimeter, but radius is equal to d dash by 2 is nothing but 0.4 millimeter, or otherwise 4 into 10 to the power of minus 4 meters. Radius we got. Again we will use the formula here, that is y is equal to m into g into L divided by pi r square into delta L. But here delta L is equal to m into g into L divided by pi r square into Young's modulus. Now I am substituting here. M means 10 and g means 10 and here length means 3 divided by pi means 3.14 into radius. Here 4 into 10 to the power of minus 4 whole square into Young's modulus, what we got here, 10 to the power of 11. Now simplification. 3 into 10 square divided by 3.14 into 4 4s are 16 into 10 to the power of minus 8 and plus 11. So here on simplification of that, 3 divided by 50.24, that means on multiplication of this one, into 10 square plus 8 minus 11. On simplification of this one, 0.059 into 10 to the power of minus 1 meters, 0.59 into 10 to the power of minus 2 meters, or nearly 0.6 centimeters. So which option is correct here? 0.6 centimeters is correct. Option D is correct. Now the question number 2. Two vessels A and B contains oxygen. The volume of B is twice that of A. The pressure of B is thrice that of A. And the temperature of B is half that of A. Then find the ratio of number of molecules of oxygen in vessels A and B. So now here the two vessels I am taking here. This is the vessel A and here this is the vessel B. So here what happens here, volume of B is twice that of A. So that means volume of A is VA and volume of B is equal to twice the volume of A. Then afterwards pressure of B is thrice that of A. So that means pressure of B is equal to pressure of A, that is 3 times the pressure of A, and temperature of B is half that of A. So temperature of A and temperature of B is equal to temperature of A divided by 2. And one thing remember, so contains oxygen, but number of molecules which are present in those two are whatever the pressure increases, that means volume increases, and all these ones contains, but we want to find the ratio of the molecules which are present in this container and this container, that means this vessel and this vessel. So here we know the ideal gas equation, PV is equal to nRT. So that means number of moles N is equal to PV divided by RT. So by using this equation we will solve this problem. So ratio of number of molecules of vessels in A and B. So that means first of all NA is equal to PA VA divided by R into TA, and NB is equal to PB VB R into TB. But here the ratio, that means number of molecules B divided by A is equal to PB VB divided by R into TB into R into TA divided by PA and VA. So R cancel, that is universal gas constant. So here PB, here VB and TB, and here into TA, PA and VA. Now we know that pressure of in vessel B is equal to 3 times PA. So that means 3 times PA into volume of B, that is 2 times VA, divided by temperature of B, TA by 2, into temperature of A, pressure of A and volume of A. These 3 cancel. Remaining are 3 into 2 into here denominator, there numerator, that is 2. 3 2s are 6, 6 2s are 12. So here NB is to NA, number of molecules in B is to number of molecules in A is equal to 1 is to 12. So which option is correct here? Option B is correct. Now the question number 3. A body of mass 10 kg has constant velocity of 10 meters per second. A constant force is applied for duration of 4 seconds on the object and gives it a speed of 2 meters per second in opposite direction. Then find the acceleration produced in it. So first of all, a body of 10 kg moving with constant velocity of 10 meters per second. So here given mass is equal to 10 kilogram and it is moving with the velocity 10 meters per second and a constant force which is applied for the duration, that is t is equal to 4 seconds on an object, and gives it a speed of v is equal to 2 meters second to the power of minus 1 in opposite direction. Then find the acceleration which must be produced. This is very, very important content. So that means this is opposite direction. So that means v is equal to minus 2 meters second to the power of minus 1. So here we want to find an acceleration. So that means we know the formula. So standard equations, v is equal to u plus at. So here v means opposite direction, which one here? Minus 2 is equal to, initially it is moving with 10 meters per second. So that means this is initial velocity, u is equal to 10 plus a into time how much here? 4 seconds. So that means 4 into a is equal to minus 2 and minus 10. A is equal to minus 12 divided by 4 and a is equal to minus 3 meters per second square. So here we are getting retardation. Why? Because it is coming in opposite direction. So find acceleration produced in it. Acceleration is nothing but minus 3 meters per second square. If you want to find the retardation, that is minus a. So that means plus 3 meters per second square. But they are asking only acceleration produced in it. So that's why the option is B correct. Now the question number 4. A ray of light travels from a medium of refractive index 2 to another medium of refractive index root 2. Total internal reflection takes place when the angle of incidence is how much? So first of all, what is total internal reflection? If the angle of incidence is greater than the critical angle, total internal reflection occurs, and total internal reflection occurs only when the light ray travels from denser medium to rarer medium. So first of all, here it is the interface of two media. This is the mu1 refractive index is 2 and here mu2 is the refractive index root 2, and these two are separate medias. Whenever the light ray which is traveling from medium 1 to medium 2, total internal reflection takes place. So that means this is IC, that is critical angle. So that means we know according to Snell's law, mu1 sin I is equal to mu2 sin R. But here according to the critical angle, that is mu1 2 is equal to 1 divided by sin C. But in this condition, mu1 2 is equal to 1 divided by sin IC. So mu1 2 means what is that here? Refractive index of medium 1, refractive index of medium 2 is equal to sin IC. So that sin IC is nothing but that is the angle of incidence for to get total internal reflection. So that means mu1 is how much here? 2. Mu2 is how much here? Root 2 is equal to 1 by sin IC. But here sin IC is equal to root 2 divided by 2. So rationalization, multiplying root 2 by root 2 here. Then what happens here? Sin IC is equal to root 2 into root 2, 2 divided by 2 root 2, both gets cancelled. Sin IC is equal to 1 by root 2, but here sin IC is equal to sin 45 degrees, dropping sign, and angle of incidence is equal to 45 degrees. So which option is correct here? Option B is correct. Now the question number 5. The ratio of displacement to distance for a moving particle is how much? Here options are given: always less than 1, always greater than 1, always 1, 1 or less than 1. So this distance and displacement relation we can consider by two ways. That is, first way, body travels in straight line. That means it is the initial point and it is the final point. Let us consider, whenever the body is completely 10 kilometer distance. So person start from here and reaches to the point B. So distance of AB is equal to 10 kilometers and displacement of AB, I am given here vector quantity. Why? Because displacement is a vector, is equal to, that is also 10 kilometer. Distance is nothing but actual path covered by the body. Displacement is nothing but the distance between initial and final points and which is shortest path. So here what happens here? Displacement is equal to distance. So that means here what is that here? Displacement by distance is equal to 1. Is equal to 1. Now I will take the second case. So here curved path. In curved path, what happens here? This is the point A, this is the point B, this is the curved path. And here this is the radius R. Radius R means this is also R here. Let us consider distance from A to B. A to B means actual path covered from here to here. Semicircle, that is nothing but 2 pi R. So displacement is nothing but from A to B, from here to here. So R plus R is nothing but 2R. So here ratio of displacement by distance is nothing but 2R divided by 2 pi R. 2 R cancel, 1 by pi. So this is less than 1. So that means what happens here? This ratio between displacement and distance is 1 or less than 1. So which option is correct here? Option D is correct. Now the question number 6. In a PNP transistor working as common base amplifier, when the current gain is 0.96 and emitter current is 7.2 milliamperes, the base current is how much? Now in this question what are given here? Here given this is PNP transistor with common base amplifier. Common base amplifier. When the current gain is given, so that means here current gain, that is nothing but alpha. I will take this one as I gain is equal to 0.96 and emitter current. So that means emitter current IE is equal to 7.2 milliamperes, and find what is the base current. What is the base current? So here we know the formula, current gain alpha is equal to current by collector by current by emitter. So that means 0.96 is equal to I collector divided by I base is how much here? 7.2. So that means I collector is equal to 0.96 into 7.2. So current by collector is equal to multiplication 0. So here I collector is equal to 6.912 milliamperes. But here which one we want to calculate here? Base current. So that means here base current I base is equal to I emitter minus I collector. So emitter is how much here? 7.2 milliamperes minus 6.912 milliamperes. On subtraction of this one, we are getting 0.288 milliamperes or nearly 0.29 milliamperes. So which option is correct here? Option C is correct. Now the question number 7. When a body moves in a circular path, no work is done by the force, since A, there is no net force, B, there is no net displacement, and C, force is always away from the center, D, force and displacement are perpendicular to each other. So one thing we have to remember very clearly here, work done may be zero in some conditions. Those are theta is equal to 90 degrees. So that theta is equal to 90 degrees is nothing but force and displacement are perpendicular to each other. And also, if force is equal to 0, work done is 0. And displacement is 0, work done is 0. So why? Because work done is equal to force into displacement into cos theta. Now in this case, what happens? First of all, a body moves in a circular path. Let us consider this is the circular path. It is the body which is moving in a circular path. And here radius I will take this one as r. It is the center, moving with velocity v here. Then afterward, the force which is acting in this direction F, like this. Then what happens here? A body moves in a circular path. No work is done by the force. When if there is no net force. So here net force, no chance about the net force. And here there is a no net force. So that means one force is acting this side, other force is acting this side. This force makes the body to travel in the circular motion. So that's why this option is not correct. There is no displacement. We can't say like that. Why? Because if the particle which is moving in a circular path continuously and from starting point to initial point it is coming, then we can say there is no displacement. But it is continuously rotating, continuously moving, so that's why you can't say there is no displacement. And force is always away from the center. No, force is always towards the center. And D, force and displacement are perpendicular to each other. So one thing we have to remember here, body moving with velocity in this direction, so velocity direction is the displacement direction and force direction this side, and these two are perpendicular to each other. So that means in this case force and displacement are perpendicular to each other. So that means theta is equal to 90 degrees. So work done is equal to force into displacement into cos theta, force into displacement into cos 90 degrees. So work done is 0 when the body moving in circular path. No work is done. Why? The force and displacement are perpendicular to each other. So the body moving in this direction, force acting in this direction, both are in perpendicular. So that's why option is D. Now the question number 8, the triple point of water is how much? So triple point of water means what is that here? Temperature and pressure of pure water is 273.16 Kelvin and pressure is nothing but 611.2 pascals. But at one particular temperature, that means 273.16 Kelvin temperature, so water can exist in solid, liquid and gas forms. So that particular temperature, that means 273.16 Kelvin temperature, that must be the triple point of water, and absolute scale of temperature also 273.16 Kelvin. So which option is correct here? 273.16 Kelvin, option B is correct. Now the question number 9. In a circus, a stuntman rides a motorbike in vertical circular track of radius r. Find the minimum speed he must maintain at the highest point of the track. So here in a circus, a stuntman rides a motorbike in vertical circular track. This is vertical circular track of radius r. So radius r is nothing but here radius r. Find the minimum speed that he must maintain at highest point. So this is the highest point and it is the lowest point. So highest point and lowest point. Highest point I will take this one as A, lowest point I will take this one as B, and radius I will take this one as R. Now what happens in this case? First of all, remember, at this particular point the stuntman starts and he is moving in this track and reaches to this particular point. Remember this one. At first of all, we will consider at this point B. What happens here? The entire weight of that body acting in the downward direction, and whatever the tension, that is normal force acting by the track in upward direction, that I will take this one as some tension T2, and he is moving with some particular velocity, that I will take as V2. Now at this particular point, what happens in this case? Entire weight of the body acting in downward direction, and the tension is also acting in the downward direction, and the velocity of the body, that person in the highest point, that I will take as V1. So always the direction is tangent to the track, that we have to remember. Now we want to consider this one. First of all, I want to find where that minimum velocity, that minimum speed he must maintain at highest point. So that means I will take here first at top position. At top position, I will apply the free body diagram for this. T1 acting in downward direction plus, that is mass m into g, is equal to acting toward the center. So that means m v1 square divided by r. So this one I will take this one as equation number 1. Then at bottom position, that means at this lowest position, T2 acting in upward direction minus mg is equal to m into v2 square divided by r. This is the second equation. Then what happens in this particular case? At highest position of track, so at the highest position only weight must be act, but here tension becomes 0. So that means T1 is equal to 0. So that means whenever the T1 is equal to 0, here in equation number 1, T1 plus mg is equal to mv1 square divided by r. Here T1 is 0. Why T1 0? At the topmost position the tension is 0. Only weight only acting. So that means 0 plus mg is equal to mv1 square divided by r. So both sides mm cancel. v1 square is equal to rg, and v1 is equal to square root over g into r. So at the topmost position, the velocity he should maintain at the highest point. He should escape from the falling toward the center. So that v1 is equal to root gr. So option is how much here? C is correct. Now the question number 10. The given figure shows the north and south poles of a permanent magnet in which a coil of n turns of cross-sectional area A is resting such that when a current I is passed through the coil, the plane of coil makes an angle theta with respect to the direction of magnetic field if the plane of magnetic field and the coil are horizontal and vertical respectively. The torque on the coil will be how much? So here, first of all, we know the formula torque. The coil tau is equal to number of turns, current, area, magnetic field and sine theta. But here one thing remember, that is perpendicular to the magnetic field. So that means plane of the magnetic field is perpendicular. So that means whereas theta is equal to how much here? 90 degrees. Now substitute tau is equal to n into I into A into B into sine 90 degrees. So tau is equal to NIAB. So here what happens here? Which answer is correct here? NIAB is correct. So option C is correct.